He was naked in a tree. Then he chased me, screaming he was going to eat me. The woods behind my village were my sanctuary. I know how that sounds, but it's the truth. Ever since I was a kid, I'd known every path, every hollow, every bent tree. The silence out there was a physical thing, a heavy blanket that smothered the noise in my head, especially at night. So when my friends all flaked on me 3 Fridays ago, I didn't think twice. My pack was already halfway ready. A thermos of hot tea, a couple of pre-rolled joints, and my headphones. My destination was a place we called the Kettle, a sunken island of land surrounded by a boggy moat of dark water, accessible only by a single, rickety wooden bridge. It's maybe a kilometer from the nearest house, so out there, the darkness is total. I carried a small folding knife in my pocket. Not because I'm some tough guy, but because being alone in the pitch black a kilometer from civilization just makes you feel aware. It's a comfort like a key in your fist. I usually walked with my music blasting, letting the beat drown out the snap of every twig, but that night was different. As I got to the edge of the woods, I felt a prickle of unease. I pulled my headphones down around my neck. The silence felt wrong. Louder than usual. I stood at the foot of the bridge for a minute, just listening. Wind in the skeletal winter branches, the squelch of my own boots in the mud. Nothing else. Good. Alone was the whole point. The bridge groaned and swayed under my weight. The handrails were slick with moss and mostly rotten. You had to take it slow, placing your feet carefully on the damn planks. I made it across and headed for our spot, a huge, gnarled oak we called the Old Man, its branches twisted like arthritic fingers against the bruised purple sky. I sat with my back against its trunk, the bark cold and rough through my jacket. I pulled out a joint and my lighter. It was quiet, too quiet. My brain started doing that thing it does when you're on edge. Every gust of wind sounded like a whisper. The rustle of a mouse in the leaf litter sounded like footsteps. Just paranoia, I told myself. You haven't even lit the damn thing yet. I thumbed the spark wheel on my lighter. A tiny flame bloomed, a warm orange bubble in the immense darkness. I brought it to the tip of the joint, and in that brief, flickering light, I saw them. Not on the ground, but in the branches of the Old Man, directly above me, 2 eyes, pale, wide, and reflecting the flame like a cat's. They were attached to a face, gaunt and filthy, framed by lank, dark hair. A man. He was crouched on a thick branch not 10 feet above my head, naked, his limbs thin and knotted like roots. He was just watching me. The lighter slipped from my numb fingers and went out, plunged back into darkness. My heart was a frantic drum against my ribs. My breath was a fishhook in my throat. I didn't move. I couldn't. I could hear nothing but the blood roaring in my ears. Was he still there? Did I even see him? Was this some fucked up trick of the light? My hand shook as I fumbled for my phone. The screen lit up my terrified face. I swiped for the flashlight, my thumb smearing across the glass. The beam cut through the dark. I pointed it up into the tree. Nothing. The branch was empty. My relief was so intense it felt like nausea. I let out a shaky breath, a white plume in the cold. A hallucination. A fucking waking nightmare. I'd been working too much, not sleeping enough. I laughed, a raw, sharp sound that the wood swallowed whole. Then a twig snapped, behind me. I spun around, phone beam cutting a wild arc. And there he was, standing at the edge of the small clearing, the naked man. He wasn't doing anything, just standing there, perfectly still, his head cocked at an angle that looked painful. He was bone white in the flashlight's glare, his skin stretched tight over a cage of ribs. He was real. All the air left my lungs. My voice came out as a pathetic squeak. I started backing away, step by agonizing step, towards the bridge. The mud sucked at my boots. He didn't move. "What the hell?" I whispered. My hand went to my pocket, to the cold steel of the knife. I pulled it out, flicked the blade open. The click sounded like a gunshot in the silence. "I have a knife," I yelled, my voice cracking. "I see you. Stay the fuck back, or I'll use it. I swear to God. Come on, come on." It's a dumb tactic I'd read about somewhere. Act aggressive, not like prey. Invite the confrontation on your terms. But my guts had turned to ice water. He didn't even blink. He just watched me. Then he took a step. And another. A slow, deliberate walk right towards me. I was at the foot of the bridge now, stumbling backwards onto the first plank. He didn't stop. He reached the bridge and stepped onto it, and my blood ran cold. He didn't grab the rails. He didn't slow down. The bridge bucked and swayed, groaning like a dying animal, but he just walked across it. A smooth, even gait, his arms hanging loose at his sides, his balance perfect. It was like he was walking on solid ground. It was wrong. It was fucking impossible. I'd seen drunk friends try to cross that bridge and end up on all fours. This man, he moved like gravity, didn't apply to him in the same way. His eyes never left mine. They were flat. Empty. That's when I broke. I turned and I ran. I didn't hear him scream. I didn't hear him yell. All I heard was the sound of bare feet slapping against wet earth and wooden planks behind me. Slap, slap, slap. A steady, unhurried rhythm that was somehow getting closer. He wasn't sprinting. He was just coming. The silence of the chase was the most terrifying thing I have ever experienced. I ran blindly, crashing through the undergrowth, branches whipping at my face. I risked a glance over my shoulder. He was there, maybe 20 feet back, moving with that same eerie, fluid grace. The moonlight caught his pale skin. He looked like something that had crawled out of the earth. My foot caught on a root and I went down, hard. I landed face first in a thorn bush, the spikes tearing at my jacket and the skin on my hands and face. For a second, I was just a tangled, panicked mess. The slapping footsteps got louder, closer. Adrenaline dumped into my system like a bucket of gasoline on a fire. I ripped myself free of the thorns and scrambled up, not even feeling the cuts. I just ran. I ran faster than I knew I could, fueled by a primal terror I didn't know I possessed. I didn't stop until I burst out of the tree line and into the weak, sickly orange glow of the first streetlight of the village. I didn't look back. I sprinted all the way to my front door, fumbled my key into the lock, threw myself inside, and slammed it shut. I locked it, threw the deadbolt, and shoved a dining room chair under the handle. I spent the rest of the night huddled in my living room, staring out the window, knife in my hand, jumping at every shadow. The next morning, after not sleeping a second, I called my friend Boss. I told him everything. He thought I was crazy, that I'd smoked some bad shit, but he heard the panic still lingering in my voice. He agreed to go back with me. In the flat gray light of day, the kettle just looked wet and miserable, but when we got to the bridge, Boss saw what I meant. He took 2 steps on it and nearly fell, grabbing the slimy railing to steady himself. Jesus, Joris, this thing is a death trap. We crossed carefully. On the 3rd plank from the island side, we found it. A single, perfect, muddy footprint of a bare human foot. There was nothing else. No clothes, no shelter, no sign that anyone had been living there. Weeks went by. The memory started to fade, the sharp edges blurring until it felt more like a nightmare I'd had than something that actually happened. Then, 2 nights ago, I was cycling home from my late shift at the bar. My route takes me past the park that borders the woods, and I saw him again. There was a woman walking her dog about 100 meters ahead of me, and behind her, maybe 30 meters back, was the man. He was wrapped in a filthy gray blanket now, but it was him. The same gaunt frame, the same lank hair. He wasn't just following her. He was mimicking her. When she paused to let her dog sniff a bush, he froze mid-stride. When she bent down to tie her shoe, he crouched down low, a jerky, broken movement. He was studying her, copying her. A predator learning the movements of its prey. It was the most profoundly unsettling thing I have ever witnessed. I pedaled home so fast, my lungs burned. I locked my door and went straight to my laptop, my hands shaking again. I searched our local community page on Facebook, and I found it. A post from that morning. A blurry phone picture of the man staring into the camera from behind a tree. The post was a warning. Patient absconded from the Taylor psychiatric clinic a month ago. Considered highly unpredictable. Do not approach. The police are still looking for him. But sometimes, when the wind blows just right and I hear the branches of the trees outside my window scrape against the glass, I get the sick feeling that they're not going to find him out here in the light. He belongs to the dark now, and he's just waiting.